Okay, welcome everyone to our Tuesday, November 19th wallet and wallet development and testing session. Arvin will not be joining us today, but he'll join us next week. So what I'd like to do is combine our dApp developer working group, which we have later today, with this session, with the wallet developing session. So and that works out well. Is whenever we can, combining working group sessions together. So that way there's one less meeting later on in the day that everyone would need to attend. So I put together a kind of a loose agenda for this morning. Let me post it again for everyone to take a look at. Agenda. So okay, so I'll just kind of go through the list. So last week, Raphael introduced us to the his mini wallet in dApp, which will be it's we're adding applications, dApps to the platform, which is a great effort. Just wanted to check with Raphael, since this is a combined working group meeting now with both the wallet session and the dApp developer working group. Did you have any updates that you wanted to update everyone on in regards to the mini wallet, or just dApp in general?
Okay, so the mini wallet is working. The thing I've been working on the last week is a testnet integration. So the goal is to distribute a new release of dApp that is connected to the RChain official test network. So this is kind of the thing I'm working on. The first problem I encountered is the delay of the requests on the testnet node. It's of course it is very much superior to my local node. I had to extend the timeout to 30 seconds. So if I do a demo, it might work, but the website to be loaded, it takes about 20 or 30 seconds. This is due to the delay is between my dApp node, which is running on my server, and the testnet node that is running on some RChain controlled server. So this seems to be the channel where it takes too much time for the dApp web app to be user-friendly and very usable. But except this issue, it seems to work well. So this morning I was working on compilation, and the release might be uploaded on the website soon. I added the mini wallet as a default application on dApp, so the tab will be available by default. So that's it.
Very good. With that delay that you're experiencing, I guess hopefully as we work through the core development and that starts to get more robust, those types of issues will go away. Do you anticipate that?
Yes, of course. And this is just an early take from me, but I have to make sure that the problem does not come from my infrastructure. So I'll have to recheck, but it seems to be an issue with a testnet node responding to listen data name requests. So it seems to be the issue, but I'm not 100% sure at the moment.
Okay.
So
Very
you're
good.
Can I just ask? Do you? So you're making request and you're waiting for response. That long.
Yes.
So you are not deploying anything. You're just making
No.
requests.
I'm sorry. No, this is not about deploy or propose. Deploy works well. Propose takes a bit of time, of course, because there is a round trip between all the nodes. I understood that. But when the code is deployed and has been included into a block, then when you click, when you want to load the website on dApp, this is the request that takes time, and it is a listen data name request. With the depth of 1,000, this might be the problem. Maybe when the depth is too high, it takes too much time. And
how big is the response? You're extracting the whole application, right? So
it's quite it's a 8 kilobytes string in Erlang AST format.
And did you see the whole response? Is the whole response much larger, or?
I did not check, but the file stored on chain is 8 kilobytes. So I guess the answer is 8 kilobytes too. Maybe I can check it very quickly.
You know, I'm wondering if you get maybe some other stuff included in the response. Some, you know, something that is not part of this.
Yes, some block data. I don't think there is much block data in the response. Do I have my script? Yes, I can just run it.
So this is not too much, right?
Okay. No, because yes. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I wanted to ask you if you are waiting for a finalized block, or you just.
I don't know about that, but I have the same problem whether or not the block is finalized. So no data found. Strange.
Because this is something that, you know, now I'm trying to figure out what is the best way to get all of this information, and so that you can be sure, you know, this is finalized, I can get the data, and this is the real data. So now in your contract, you send your data to deployer to deploy ID, right? Or to deployer ID, and then you extract this data from listen data, right?
I still do it the old way with the previewed private name. I still do it that way. What I do right now is I check the logs, you know, of the testnet. I wait for the logs from my Erlang deploy, and when I see them, I wait for the block to be finalized, and I know it is available, so I know I can I can take the unforgeable name that has been logged to the RChain logs, and then hit it in dApp software.
Oh, I see. So you get this information from the logs. Okay.
Yeah. I do it the dev way.
Okay. How do you generate a forgeable name? This private name that you are sending the data.
But it is I preview it in dApp, and then I air the deploy to the R node.
Oh, but right now, get the name. You preview it from. I mean, how do you read it? Again, from the logs, or you print it in Erlang, right?
Yes, I do it both ways. Yes, I print it in Erlang. I could do it with the preview, but I choose to check the logs to be absolutely sure that it has been processed. So maybe the thing is, that
Okay.
I have a Node.js software that runs between dApp software and the RChain logs. So my dApp software is here. So I could set up a caching solution. So maybe it could be a good option to set up some caching of some raw-length data. But the thing is, it's pretty twisty because I need all the dApp nodes to distribute the same information at the same time. So I have to have exactly the same caching policy between two dApp nodes because my client will require them to send always the same data. This is why I don't want right now to set up a caching solution.
With the social ledger, what we're doing is caching the RChain structures using GraphQL, which has a very powerful caching and event handling capabilities, so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And
Great.
Everything across all your back ends, including RChain, is all combined into the GraphQL stitched together structure, including the local data in your browser.
And you rely on a database, or is it file-based storage? Or is it just RNode with GraphQL?
Yeah, you know, I mean, you can configure it just to cache the browser in the browser. I mean, just to cache stuff in the browser without a database. But obviously, there are lots of solutions in GraphQL that use various databases in order to support the caching mechanism. I'm not an expert on which one to use. I believe we're using, what is it?
Although GraphQL is not like a solution for caching, it is just like a facade of API.
Well, Apollo and other things. What do we, let me share what we're using now. What we're attempting to use anyway. I haven't done any really started development yet, but we have the GreenSun, which is pretty lightweight, and it's Vue, so that our portal is using a Vue framework. So I haven't actually used it yet. This is what we've selected for the social ledger, which is going to be on RChain. We get a lot of synergies if we adopt this as something that we potentially might use to give ourselves a leg up in writing interoperable code.
So Raphael's dApp is somehow similar to this.
Yes, I can check that one. The issue I have is very server related and not client related. Request between the dApp browser and the dApp node are fine. The thing that seems to take very much time right now is the communication between DeFi Node and R node that sits on another server. But it should, those two software should run in the same server. So there is a architecture kind of trick. So again, not sure about all this data. So when I get further with the release of DAPI 026, I'll keep you informed of on what goes on with the delay issues.
So one way of thinking how to design this cache, right? If you think about you're running your own node, this can be like a caching mechanism for RChain, right? Because you have all of this network which is outside of your outside of your local network, and then you have your own node which holds all the data. You know, it updates everything that's happened on other nodes. You know, you don't have to implement all of this yourself because this will be very difficult. And then you can say, okay, now I'm running my own node. I have the whole control, and I can ask these questions directly on this one node. And then you think like this, you can also maybe see how this reflects to your ability to say, you know, how many nodes are you know saying the right thing, right? Because now in your dApp you have the list of nodes that you trust or want to hear the correct information. But in a sense, this is like somehow a small or replication of functionality that already is implemented in Casper, right? If you're running your node, you're communicating with all the other nodes, and you can if some of these nodes are not correct, Casper will not work, right? You will see in your node, okay, something is going on. So you can be sure that if Casper is working, you see the right information in your Readonly node.
Yes, because the node has the blockchain, but the client does not have the blockchain. So the client must trust a given node.
So what I'm saying is that you have this Node.js application that is in between, right? So on this server, you can run your own instance of Anomaly. It's just for you. So when you ask this instance for the data, it must be fast. You know, it's your cache. Okay.
So yeah. Okay, I see. So is it possible already to run a read-only node?
Oh, this is always possible. You can always point to Bootstrap node or any other node, right? If when the network is started, for you, any node can be Bootstrap node.
Yes.
And then you connect.
Yeah. Okay. So this extends the reflection to the requirements that will be asked to be part of the dApp network, because I think it could be good to require some network members of dApp to have a minimal stake in the network. This way, we are sure that they are running a node in their server and not stealing information from other nodes that expose the gRPC API. This is to enforce the decentralization of the network. So maybe, yes, you have the right solution. I should not be making what I'm doing right now, which is not running the R node software on the dApp node server. So I could, I guess, I should have set up a read-only node already.
I mean, I'm not saying that what you have now it's wrong, right? Because you have different scenarios, right? if you don't want to run the whole network, or maybe you are connecting to multiple networks. So in that case, yeah, you can say, okay, I will somehow solve this caching problem, but I don't have to run all of the nodes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not that some solution is perfect.
Yes, you are right. I guess this is the issue. Is it's because the testnet node seems to be very much hard working on consensus and stuff like that. So maybe the listen data name requests are down in the queue of priority. So this is
I'm not sure. Yeah. And this is why I was asking Rao, maybe if we can, not Zipper also knows this, if we can have like small network, which is not, which doesn't, is constantly creating deploys and blocks and everything, just for our samples, and, maybe just 2 servers or something like that. Just that we have stable network to do all this testing again. Because if you are doing demo, you don't want to have a network which is totally, on 100% loaded.
But aside from it, testnet is very stable and working very well. So shout out to the devs.
I think an hour ago it was blocked, but yeah, I think now it's working again.
Yeah. Some issues, but I have the eyes on the logs 10 hours a day, and it's following the protocol with the the synchronic constraints and stuff like that. So it's going all well. Everything's fine.
Good to hear. Okay, so let's see here. I'm just been adding notes to our weekly log. One topic we were discussing last week that came up was Arvin indicated that he needed some test rev. So I know Nutzipper, is he still with us? Yeah, he's indicates he's just listening. So perhaps Nutzipper, maybe you could put in the chat whether if Arvin, if he still needs, if you're able to work with him on getting him some test rev, or is that if that's still an ongoing issue? So
hey, I sent him some rev.
Oh, okay. So good.
Which is really cold here, so so I don't get my phone out of my pocket.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you for the update. So hopefully he has what he needs, and we'll catch up with Arvin next week to see if he's progressing with how he's progressing with the front end, and with if he has any issues with the test rev. So okay. Let's see here. One thing I put on the agenda was just a topic of discussion. Right now, we have 2 working groups, more technically oriented. So we have our dApp developer working group and the wallet development and testing group. So this is kind of my vision, and I'll give you a little background. So RChain is a co-op, and within the co-op we have these functioning committees which do a lot of the work within the co-op. So right now there's one committee that exists, which is the governance committee, and the governance committee is tasked with helping to set up other committees and give guidance to working groups, and other committees that will form in the future, or we've had in the past as well, as the nomination committee, compensation committee. So the thought is, although we're a dApp developer working group, we want to, in my mind, applications after the core platform of RChain, applications a main focus. So what we're doing here is laying the groundwork for all the good stuff that's going to be happening on top of the RChain platform. So that indicates what we're doing is very important. So we're a working group right now, but in the scheme of things, in the terms of the RChain cooperative, we want to work towards becoming more official, for lack of a better word, meaning we want to work towards becoming a committee. So it would essentially be a dApp developer committee. So we would elevate our status from a working group to committee level. And in that context, the wallet development and testing working group would become a subcommittee. So a wallet is an application, and there'll be other applications in the future where perhaps we need to have a group that organizes around them. For instance, a gaming application that we need to come together and work on that to get it kind of moving. So the idea is, with building applications on top of the platform, the main focus will eventually be, as we work towards it, the dApp developer committee. And then spawning off of that is the wallet working group would become a subcommittee. So it would be a component, a subcomponent of the dApp developer working group. So that's my vision. And we have on here Jim Weitzgarver, who's a member of the governance committee, and the governance committee is they exist to help the working groups and committees get organized to work towards becoming a committee level or getting structured to become a working group.
Yeah,
so go ahead, Jim. You have something to add?
The distinction between a committee and a working group today is that the committees are listed in the bylaws.
Okay.
So to make a new committee, we just add a description of it in the bylaws, and we pass a new set of bylaws.
Okay.
Okay. Now, in terms of the working groups, which are the other groups that are not in the bylaws,
right?
We have two kinds. We have internal co-op working groups, and then we have the outreach working groups.
Okay.
The outreach working groups are engaging the membership. Okay, so the communications working group and the adaptive developers working group, these are outreach, are reaching beyond, in any case, the 12 employees. I mean, we have, we're working closely with Thomas Love, who's also doing core development, right?
Right.
And so it's a boundary working group that's trying to capitalize on the open source community.
Okay. So we kind of discussed this to bring it up to kind of give a reference point or structure as far as, how does our dApp developer working group, what we're doing here, fit into the greater scheme of things. So and we, I guess, as a group have to decide if and when it would become important for us to elevate to become a committee level group. Now, one of the components of us going from a working group status to a committee status is having a charter, and a charter is just kind of an outline of what our purpose is and kind of the governing guidelines that indicate who we are and what we're doing. And the governance committee, their role is to help us create create that charter. So, and I've kind of here. Let me post it in the chat here. Bear with me here. So I've created a draft charter. Come on, work for me. Come on, technology. I can't get it to my chat for some reason. So anyways, let me try something else here. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I just posted a link. So it basically, I've just kind of started with, what is the purpose of our group? So it was, and this helped me, when we first formed our dApp developer working group, I just kind of took from our discussions what it is we were ultimately trying to do. So these were combinations of everyone here providing their comments, and I just kind of collated them and put together what the purpose of the group is. So so this draft charter it'll take shape, and whether it's a month, 6 months, a year from now that this gets completed and we change status from a working group to committee, I think it's it's something to discuss and to identify, as we get more structured and organized, and we become more official and more focused in what we're doing. These types of things are good.
And I think the governance committee is going to requires a charter from each working group. So a working group has a responsibility before it becomes a committee to give to have a charter. So I think this might serve that purpose for now, in being a charter for the committee once we complete it.
Okay, wait, and maybe I keep changing. So maybe this will be. I didn't realize that even working groups need to have charters, which makes sense. So this would be our dApp developer working group charter, with the idea that this, as it develops, it will, and we become elevated to a committee. This would be, as it gets built out or added to, become our committee charter. Okay. Good. So, okay. So that was something I wanted to kind of review with everyone.
Now, how about the strategic partnership group, or whatever? What do you call that now? For the groups with whom collaboration or overlap. I'll put it in, and you can fix it.
Okay.
I think the big app partnerships are going to link us into that group.
That's a good point. So let me give sort of a point of reference or a little background. So RChain is a platform. That's the main business model of RChain, is to provide a computation platform, and on top of that are applications. So, and applications comes in many forms and many sizes. So what we created here with the wallet with dAppy, these are startups which will hopefully grow and progress and become much bigger. But RChain, as far as a business model, wants to have, at some point, go after enterprise organizations. And enterprise is, you have Walmart, IBM, Microsoft, these are large organizations, and in a sense, these are strategic partners. So with the idea that they will, look at the RChain technology, identify the value in it, want to learn, get educated on what that value is, and develop prototypes within their organization that which will help them as an enterprise help work towards solving solutions to where it becomes an actual application within their organization. So those efforts have a much longer timeline, but we need to think in those terms, and those relationships would be more referred to more as strategic partners or enterprise partners. So and how those relationships fit into what we're doing here as the dApp developer working group, that's something that we'll discuss on an ongoing basis. So thanks, Jim, for commenting on that. And Ned's on the call, so Ned is with RChain involved in business development, so he's very tuned into those types of discussions. And Ned, did you have a comment or two that you wanted to add regarding enterprise partners or strategic partners?
We're still looking for them. So now that the platform is developing, hopefully we'll be able to attract them. But what we've been told, pretty much by and large, is like Microsoft, they're interested, but they have to see a working platform. So until we get the platform working, but the door, I don't think, is fully closed. So we just have to get the platform out there, get to mainnet, and Greg's in China right now, trying to drum up support. So it's hopeful for the future. And I agree, enterprise adoption is going to be critical.
Very good. Thank you for those comments. So and okay, good. So we've kind of discussed that those topics, and something I just added just as a thought to our agenda today. When I was speaking with Raphael and Christian, we were talking about applications, applications built on top of RChain to help kind of prove the what it can do, prove it's capable of scaling and doing high transactions. So I'm just throwing out a topic for us to kind of discuss, and just want some general feedback. So the topic was we were looking at what application, when we were speaking with Raphael, what application that's out there in the blockchain crypto world that well, first, what platform is getting the most transactions, which is Ethereum, and what application on top of Ethereum is doing a lot of transactions? And the response was CryptoKitties. So apparently CryptoKitties is an open source project now. So the question was, well, how difficult would it be, or what would be involved for RChain to leverage or take hold of this CryptoKitty open source work that's out there and reincorporate it into RChain? We don't know if that's what efforts involved in that, even if it's possible. So I just wanted to kind of throw it out there if anyone had any thoughts on that.
Well, certainly, CryptoKitties is not sustainable. I mean, let's all be real. I mean, the problem with the whole crypto sphere right now is that there is no real world dApp besides,
So I guess I have to kind of put it in the framework, which is proving the scalability and or at least the high transactions that RChain can do. So it's not, the goal isn't to have a ongoing workable solution or create a business model around it. It's more of it may be, in a sense, a test application to help prove what RChain can do.
Right.
So
And
in that context,
that was 100% overlap with the Art on the Blockchain project.
The art on the blockchain is also not going to be a high-scale performant application, as Eric has said multiple times.
I think the CryptoKitty though is probably a good prototype for us to do as part of, you know, as something simple that we can do that that can to some extent show the capabilities of our chain.
Okay, so I'll just say this about CryptoKitties. It's a joke out there in the real world, and it'd be kind of embarrassing to go to any enterprise and say, oh, we have CryptoKitties. So they've built CryptoKitties on, you know, other platforms. You know, I think Tron had something. And listen, if the devs want to do, you know, if the independent devs want to do it, that's wonderful, right? In terms of serious dApps that are going to show that, you know, this was Greg's vision for our song, you know, so, you know, I don't want to talk about the immersion deal because, you know, whatever, but the idea though of streaming real data quickly off the platform, you know, we have that, we have, you know, the whole supply chain realm. I think that's what's going to get us, you know, serious attention.
Okay. Well, I felt sort of an obligation to bring it up since Raul discussed it and he wanted to get sort of some feedback. So this would be the venue, if there was any venue at all to kind of discuss it, would be in our dApp developer working group. And as far as the level of effort, you know, that would go in order to do something like that, you know, I take it that, you know, there's and we don't know. And yeah, so any case, yeah, thank you, Ned, for your thoughts
yeah,
on that.
I just want to be clear, you know, there's nothing stopping any independent developers from doing anything they want.
Right.
I mean, that's the great thing about the platform, right? It's open, you know, people can do whatever they want.
Building an art on the platform, art on the blockchain platform for RChain doesn't mean you have to put up kitties.
Yeah. So
one thing you could do, you could put up, you know, whatever kind of art you want, right?
So what I'll do is when I speak with Raul again, circle back with him, I'll put it into the framework as, okay, yeah, CryptoKitties exists, but in a broader context, it's art on the blockchain, and that's something that we're as a community we're actively working on, putting art assets potentially onto RChain. So I'll just put it in that context. Okay.
So there is also another way of looking at this. If we starting from like copying some applications, it's tedious work, right? Because we can have many applications, but we can also think on the level of the API, right? For example, we can copy the whole Ethereum API and say, okay, we have RChain in the background, and the whole API is the same as Ethereum. And then you can use all the existing applications just to switch to different others. So in that case, you know, you don't have to rebuild CryptoKitties for RChain. You can just, you know, use existing and
yeah,
see how it's working with Ethereum and RChain.
Eric has his own contract that's used for art that we want to model first.
Well, Tomislav, you bring up a good point as far as porting over, you know, this world of Ethereum applications that are out there. You know, CryptoKitties is just one, but there's others. But, you know, how do we get connected with that universe? So this effort of creating the RChain version of the Ethereum API, any thoughts on the level of effort that would go into having to create that?
Yeah, I mean, this is a substantial effort, but you know, it's not only one application. If we have something like that, we can, you know, we can use any existing application which communicates.
I would certainly participate in a work study where we do that.
Okay.
Where we do
well,
that.
so okay, so So you know we have.
And maybe we don't have to use the whole API. Maybe we can say only part of the API is what we really need.
So Ned, what are your thoughts on the value of a group coming together to work on that, as far as the potential, the high, we're looking for high value projects to add to RChain to help move the effort forward. So it's working on Ethereum API, RChain's version of the Ethereum APIs to help port over the whole universe of Ethereum applications that are out there. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot. That was always on our plan to do that. So, you know, if you guys want to do that yourselves, that's wonderful. But you know, internally, we had always planned to fund that effort at some point. Well, we were going to build that because we recognize that that's important. So, yeah, if you guys want to take that on, great.
Yeah,
Dan, if you have any information.
Dan Connolly has, you know, sort of done that with the suites, with the voting stuff that he did, and the continued governance stuff that I've done. I started with Ethereum contracts, and then when we were looking at doing the art, we were looking at Ethereum contracts for the non-fungible tokens to represent the art pieces, and the identity APIs for handling the identities. However, in working with Dan, it seems like, you know, the security model is so different in RChain that these APIs for Ethereum just don't correspond well to what we need for RChain. I don't know if that's true, but
yeah, you're right. We need, of course, we need to replicate what we want on the blockchain. But I'm now talking more about just using existing technologies to connect to R node or to Ethereum. For example, Ethereum uses JSON RPC for all the communication, and they use this for all the other stuff. MetaMask is also have the same interface when you communicate with, you know, Ethereum via MetaMask. So we can really do the same thing. Okay, we don't have all of the contracts, but maybe this is not something, you know. Maybe if you have your Ethereum application, maybe you want to create your own RChain contract, you know, because writing RChain contract should be easier and you know, more clear than writing Solidity contracts. So at least developers could use some simple JPGs.
I want to do some, you know, participate in some work studies to see if we can come up with, you know, RChain should actually represent a simplification to these apps that are on Ethereum.
Because when we say apps on Ethereum, you know, they are not apps on Ethereum. They're part of the application that is connected to blockchain. Right. And especially now with Snarks or Starks, they're trying to put all the data off chain, and just to have a proof of execution. And we can do better. We can store all the data on the chain. So if we don't have all of this, but if we can have easy way to just communicate and get the data, that's the big thing, at least for me. And Raphael can for sure say, you know, when you have difficulty to get the data, it's really the stopper for doing any other serious work.
Okay.
Yeah. The issue, gRPC is great, but I think it might be discouraging for developers who just want to try some stuff very quickly, just to see that they have to set up some Envoy proxy or stuff like that. It might be discouraging. So maybe a yes, JSON interface just for example, deploying and reading
and listening. Yeah,
it could be very it could bring a lot of developers to the platform just from just people who want to try out in 2 minutes. We cannot have this experience right now because of gRPC and network complications. So maybe it's a good idea to have this simpler interface. But that's why I'm developing with finally with dApp. It's a HTTPS JSON interface. So yes, that kind of it.
So I'm trying to break this down into very basic elements and then trying to identify one little piece that we could take action on. So Raphael, you'd mentioned an interface for deploying and for reading. So is that a very basic element of a much bigger picture, a small little piece that is actionable that we could work on, or is there still a smaller piece than that?
No, I guess it's it's kind of the most simple thing we could do, because for Ethereum, for example, you have the JSON RPC. I played with it a bit like 2 years ago. I think it has some KillContract feature to recover the funds from a contract, to call a method on a contract without sending a transaction. So to execute in the VM without sending a transaction. So all of this is complicated to implement and code. So what I'm talking about is just yes, a deploy endpoint and a listen data name endpoint, but reachable via HTTP and JSON. This could be a great thing to achieve, even if it's some additional and not mandatory solution for a R-node, of course.
Okay, so ultimately, that's kind of what I'm, looking for or trying to reach for is, our little smaller projects, little pieces that we can identify and work towards. So we've been working on the RChain wallet. That's moving along nicely, and that'll hopefully get completed here. Raphael, you have dApp in your projects, so maybe this will be a topic that the idea is. So we've started the conversation today, but then we pick it up again next week as well. So the idea is, between now and next week, kind of in your mind, think about, okay, what do we need to do, or what needs to be accomplished in order to create an interface for deploying and reading using the HTTP and JSON. So is that so we're just kind of thinking about it now, but as far as an ongoing type of effort, how does everyone feel about something like that?
The thing is that this is what I developed with the dApp node, which is on GitHub. This is
okay.
Exactly. So the question is whether or not it should be integrated into R-node software. But maybe so right now you just have to run R-node. then you just have to clone my repo, and you have a HTTP interface for basic rolling, deploying, and reading. So maybe it's not worth putting a lot of effort into trying to get that into our node and keep it as an additional solution.
Okay.
And there is also the Envoy proxy that Arvings is using, for example, with my RChain wallet. So,
okay.
What I'm looking is how to integrate this directly in ArcNode, so we can directly have a HTTP interface, and so you don't have to trust another part of the software for.
Yeah. Okay.
For communication. So and this JSON RPC is in a sense very similar to GraphQL. You have methods, and these methods accepting some JSON arguments. You have your schema, and then this is very similar to GraphQL. You have like collections, and like these are like methods, and you have like arguments to these methods, and in both cases you receive JSON.
Okay.
So I would like to see this as something that is modular and pluggable, that whoever wants to run our node can just say, I will plug this thing, and I want to expose HTTP, or I want to work with gRPC, and I want to have different benefits and or performance. And what Raphael is saying for deploy and listen, it really just means read and write. On to the blockchain.
Yes.
This is really two major functions. You're deploying, so you're writing.
Right.
You want to change the state, and then you want to have a read to read some state, and then that's it. That's the whole communication of the blockchain.
Okay. Okay. So, okay. Well, so we'll this will be an ongoing conversation, as far as the world of Ethereum, how to connect the world of Ethereum apps with the world of RChain apps.
Yeah,
So
Steve, can I say something quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, thanks. So what this also really points out is our need for education, right? And we need at some point to, and we've talked about this internally. We need first-class documentation, both written and videos and how-tos, and there is a lot to learn about Rolang, and there's a lot to learn about how to maintain your nodes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to the we've had an open rec to hire a technical documentation specialist.
Right.
But honestly, we're going to need more than one. So
okay.
To me, that's also a big effort. We really need to.
A lot of this we're just going to have to write ourselves, because there isn't really the money to do it right.
Yeah, well, not yet. So hopefully,
the thing what we
line.
need to do, what we can do right now is come up with, think about it anyway. If it's not CryptoKitties, that we're going to port, as Thomas Love was suggesting, to RChain by keeping as much of their code as possible, and just changing the contracts underneath it to call RChain.
Yeah, so what I would suggest, if that's going to happen, then it gets documented. Because if you can create clear and cogent documentation about that, then that's going to help everybody else who wants to do something like that.
And that's all, we just figure it out and we do it, and create leave the breadcrumbs so that anybody can follow us and do the same thing. But so we should think about what, I'm ready to attend the work studies and do some homework. What we need to decide is, what apps have a critical mass of at least 3 people willing to work on it. What apps do we want to do? And I would lean
for-
towards, you know, some kind of a chat app.
Maybe we don't need like the whole applications. Maybe we can just build some parts that can be integrated in some application. For example, there is a very nice like interesting site builder. It's called Gatsby, and we can create plugin for this kind of already, you know, applications that are already functioning. And with this plugin, you could communicate with the blockchain, for example, you know, because a blockchain application is currently not built completely on the blockchain, right? It's for example, usually just a JavaScript application that has some communication on the blockchain. So
Tomislav, can you
we can definitely
put
use
a link,
existing stuff.
put a link in chat? I'd be curious to look at that.
What was it called? Gatsby?
Yeah, I will
Okay.
put the link in the chat.
Yes, I think all the micropayment environment is some environment we could dig into, because it's getting more and more popular. All the gaming industry and the gamer industry who receive tips and stuff like that. They might be some cool MVP to build to demo the micropayment functionality of our chain.
Yeah.
Yeah, tip
And then
bot
this
would be
integration
cool.
with MetaMask is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that Tomislav kind of had that idea too, to be able to embed a button so people can tip.
Yep.
Yeah. And for that we need this easy communication. So you know we can create some simple libraries that you can integrate in you know applications that you already have. You know, everything will work.
So I posted a link to ost.com. I was looking at this with Rao and Christian, and they seem to be kind of interested in what this application could do. So, you know, all I know is basically what I'm looking at on their homepage, but they seem to be interested in that. So, and okay, so OST platform provides everything you need to test and deploy a brand. So with OST, it's it's kind of a platform creating your own token or your own currency. So I don't know if that would lend itself to, and I'm not sure if it's. I think it's on Ethereum. I think that was one of the. So okay, so let me add this as well.
I might add something also. So concerning the high transaction volume on our chain, there might be some application, but on my side, since I'm developing dApp, I'm digging into some other enterprise applications for blockchain and dApp. And so I might show you an article to illustrate. So
okay.
This might not bring a lot of transaction volume, but one thing we want to tackle with dApp is the cost of DNS hacks, which is enormous. For example, a big company, when it gets hacked or when the website is offline for just 30 minutes, it can cost up to 500,000, even more money, because there is reputation damages and stuff like that, which are collateral damages. So this is one of argument I have when telling company to take a look at my solution. It is to avoid the risk of being DNS hacked. But of course, dApp does not directly creates thousands of transactions per second. But what I'm doing right now is trying to find some companies or sectors that could be interested by the solution. And my goal is to find those companies who suffer from DNS hacks or web piracy in a more general way, phishing and all the DNS domain name stuff. There is a lot of hacked and piracy going on. Sometimes, for example, in a given country, a website is being hacked, so they see something, and in another country they see something else. So this is the typical situations that will not be possible with dApp. So right now my activity is kind of building a commercial offering to find those companies. But there is enormous. I am quite sure that there is enormous loss from DNS hijacking that is kind of resolved with dApp plus RChain solution. So this is my take on it.
Okay, good. And if RChain had developer tools that made it easier for the enterprises that you're speaking to, for them to port and connect to RChain, those developer tools, you know, for you, that would assist in your selling or onboarding of customers. So, you know, I can see how, you know, everything kind of gets interwoven with what we're doing. So, you know, it's part of creating this ecosystem that we want to ultimately create. So good. So, you know, if maybe this effort is do we refer to it as creating the RChain developer tools, and you know that toolkit of helping developers not only understand and learn about RChain and all the components, but helping them develop something new or something existing that's out there, whether it's on blockchain or not, in getting it connected. So maybe that's in a sense what we're kind of discussing in a broader sense is developer tools, the developer toolkit, and what, you know, at this point is, you know, it's what can we do to you know, we're few in number and we're limited in resources, time, money, and energy. You know, what are the things that we can do that would have the greatest impact? And I think maybe that's how we're discussing among ourselves, throwing out ideas and what direction we need to go. So okay. So here, let me look at some of my notes again here. So okay, now you know, Jim, you brought up Dan Conley. You know, he's worked with RChain in the past, and you know, we speak with him on occasions on Saturday. You know, with this idea of developing or discussing RChain developer toolkit, you know, RChain developer tools. If we were to bring, well, first off, let me ask Tomislav, well, you know Dan, of course, Dan Conley. Raphael, have you ever met Dan Conley by chance?
Not in video chat, but just you know, in post on GitHub or Discord.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll do this in kind of a steps, and you know, Dan kind of comes and goes in the RChain community, but he is a, you know, he's a tremendous developer. You know, he's very advanced level. So, but you know, he has his own ways of doing things. So, what I'd like to do is maybe at least invite him to one of our sessions or find a time when he's available to come and chat with us, or to meet you, Raphael. And I just want to bring up the topic. I just want to get his thoughts on developer tools, RChain developer tools, RChain developer toolkit, with the idea of what we're ultimately, working towards is, creating these tools to help developers develop on RChain, connect existing applications that are out there, whether it's on Ethereum or something else, to RChain, those types of topics, and see, what his viewpoint is on that. So let me do that, and we'll continue to discuss this. So we've got a few websites, Gatsby.js and OST, and so maybe during the course of the week, think about this topic of RChain developer toolkit, and what you envision it can do. What are the things we'd like to see in the toolkit, and we'll continue this conversation. But I think it's important.
We're running kind of late here. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to run actually.
Very good. Thank you, Ned.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Have a good day.
Yeah, see you later.
So this will be an ongoing conversation for
one topic for Dan can be secure JavaScript. This is something that Agoric is building. So we will have secure stuff on the blockchain, but we need also secure part of the on the JavaScript side. So now MetaMask is using secure JavaScript to bundle all of the JavaScript code that is used, and also to power plugins for MetaMask. It is also run with secure JavaScript. So now you can, and this is something that I'm looking at, how to create. How to integrate RChain with MetaMask as a plugin, so we can use we can use existing app to manipulate private keys and be connected to RChain. So we can have some kind of client application where you can communicate with RChain blockchain with existing MetaMask application.
Perfect. I mean, that's a good introduction, topic introduction. So you get a chance for Raphael to meet Dan. We've got Dan is very he's very focused on Agoric, and Mark Miller, the creator of the smart contracts. So Dan is object capabilities oriented, all about security. So these are the types of things that we can kind of discuss with Dan. And and you just kind of get to know his personality. I mean, he's very energetic, very passionate, very opinionated. So understanding a person's personality is that's helpful in understanding where they're coming from. So, okay. Yeah. Thank you, Tomislav. So I think that, so I'll message Dan and kind of discuss, who it is, what we're doing, and how we'd like to speak with him regarding secure JavaScript in the reference of connecting RChain to MetaMask. So get his insight on that and other things. Good. So
I would just would mention that Dan was very active in the early days of the World Wide Web, and I worked with him back then, and he was just as amazing then as he is now. He came into this project through Mark Miller, the object capabilities. Mike Stay was very active in the object capabilities arena. So he was a follower of Mike Stay, came and brought him into RChain.
Yeah. So, and apparently my understanding is when he was with the World Wide Web, you have these committees and working groups that, you know, we were discussing, you know, how we're creating with RChain. So Dan's familiar with this, an organization working together in the form of committees and working groups. So, you know, that was not only is he technical, does he know all of, you know, coding, but, you know, the governance, you know, aspect of an organization and how it functions. You know, he's tuned into that as well. So very good. Well, so since we've had this session today, this combined session of the wallet and dApp developer working group, we won't have the dApp developer later on today. So I'll put a note into Discord that we won't have that meeting. But anyone who's interested who want to attend that, they can just watch this session. So good. So we'll meet up again here next week, and hopefully Arvin will be available, and we'll pick up where we left off with the wallet. Anybody have any final thoughts or last comments? Okay, very good. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye.
Thanks.
Can you stay a minute, Steve? Nope. So, yeah.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. I'll stay a minute. Where are we?
Okay.
So Steve is, no, I guess Steve heard me. He came back.
Yeah, you were trying to say something as I was pressing the button. What were you going to say?
Okay.
I was going to say that.
Maybe I'll be leaving. Have a good day.
All right.
Okay, have a good day, Raphael. Au revoir.
So I attended this really kind of awesome thing. Where is it? Yesterday, it was early in the morning. How to build learning ecosystems.
Okay.
Groups, you know, associated with decentralized communities, and you know how systems grow organically. Like, oh, I didn't show you. Here, I thought you were looking at it, my screen. I'm, you know, really thinking of this whole committee work group structure as an ecosystem.
Sure.
Or creating an ecosystem. And I guess some of the things we learned about ecosystems is that in order for them to evolve, you have to have at least three members of a, or at least three influences in order to have an ecosystem. You know, they're pointing out that the three members that form a that cooperate in an activity all must lead or have a leader role if the ecosystem is going to evolve.
Sure.
And you know, I'm thinking of we have these connections across the organization, and then we have the subgroups. Is, you know, we really want to delegate all of our responsibility to subgroups.
Right.
Ultimately, but this is what we have so far. We got the wallet, we got dApp, we got the ARC. Okay, the token and the governance are sort of like my babies that I want to do. But unless there's 3 people, we're not doing it, right?
Right.
And it's not clear we have 3 strong people on any of them now.
Yeah.
But we should try to create subgroups or work groups that have 3 members.
Well, let me ask you a question. A name came up today that I hadn't heard in the context of working groups and committees, and that's Mike Stay. Has Mike Stay? Has he been involved with RChain for how long? Has he been involved in RChain?
From the beginning.
From the beginning. Okay.
Okay.
And
he and Greg are the magicians.
Right. Right. And has he? So I think it was in the context of developer toolkit, developer tools. So I bet he would have. Oh, I think it was in secure JavaScript that he had an interest in that. Did I hear that correctly? So I guess so. Yeah. What I'm
he's I guess active in the Mark Milner community. I don't know exactly what he's doing with secure JavaScript.
So we take for the working groups, and it takes 3 people in order for people to come together and work on something. And so those people, it's somebody, it's somebody who's engaged and working. So I'd be interested in. I don't really know Mike Stay, so I talked about Dan Conley. I'm going to reach out to him. Maybe I'd like to introduce Dan Conley to Raphael, and start a discussion there. But also Mike Stay. I'd be interested in understanding. Introducing Mike Stay to our dApp developer group as well. So, and getting his insights on the dApp developer toolkit. So, I think the ultimate goal is, by reaching out to these individuals who, they've been involved in RChain in one form or another over a period of time, re-engaging them and seeing where their interests are, and how what other aspects that they would want to be involved in. You're on mute, I think. Jim, I don't hear you. Don't hear you. Don't hear you. I don't hear you.
Sorry about that. So while you're at it, Steve, you're doing a great job here.
Yeah.
You have to bring Vlad back into governance.
Okay.
Okay, he is the person that Greg put in charge of RChain governance.
Okay.
And a lot of it's blockchain governance side.
Okay.
But also community governance, peripherally.
So let me talk about that. So say if I were to reach out to Vlad and engage him and have a conversation, and kind of introduce him into some of the current people, it would be in the context of governance. There's some people that I want to introduce you to, and it would be perhaps the RChain Governance Committee. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, and maybe it's like give people an opportunity to ask them questions and get to know.
Okay. Okay. Well, let me work on that. So I kind of see, that's important part is, you know, engaging people and trying to get them to connect.
Absolutely. I think bringing in Mike is a stroke of genius.
Very good. Yeah.
The
And we have a
this,
framework. You know,
I also came into the project through Mike Stay.
Oh, you did, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike Stay did an article with Baez, the Rosetta Stone of physics and logic, or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was back in 2010.
Okay.
And I was associated with some science, so mathematics, science people doing graphic linear calculus and well, a bunch of other stuff. But then I ended up meeting Greg through Mike and watching some of his pi calculus videos, his early pi calculus videos.
Right. So I didn't realize that. So Mike Stay was the your gateway to Greg.
Right. And same thing with Dan.
Oh, okay. So what year was it that you met Mike Stay?
2010.
2010. Oh, okay. And what was it? Did you have a personal meeting or what?
No, just emails crossed between my group of people and his group of people.
Okay. Okay. Very good. All right. So yeah, you know, I'm gonna start with Dan and kind of proceed on from there. But I kind of, it'll be interesting to see how this all kind of evolves as far as you know, the idea is connecting with these people, engaging them, and getting them back in and participating in some capacity.
Right. So you know how this works, right? With the document here, if you hit the check mark.
Oh, right.
That says okay. So
Yeah.
the strategic partnership group, is it okay to add that?
Yeah. Well, here, let me review it. I have to put it.
Okay. So we'll just leave it here. You know how to
Leave it
check
here.
it off.
Yeah,
And you
and
accept it, right?
understand the context of everything. So yeah, so that's good for now.
Okay.
All right. Well, hey, this was a good session today.
Yep, I think so. Where am I here? But you know, and you know, if you can put together work studies where we get 3 people in one of these areas: wallet, dApp, art, token, or governance.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
I could be one of them. Right?
Okay.
So we just need 2 more to have a work study and do something. And you know, I think that idea of picking an Ethereum app that we want to port over
Yeah.
to RChain because it's relevant and because it's simple.
Yeah.
Some apps would be harder to port than others. But if we have open source everything, we have a whole user interface. The only thing is that it executes contracts on Ethereum, and we just want to change it so that it actually runs contracts on Roland, on RChain.
Yeah. Yep.
So, you know, then we want 3 people to have a work study to do it. Right?
Yeah. The magic number.
The magic number.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, you know, there's a lot of well, certainly the group that I was with yesterday was very much into setting up how to make an ecology.
Yeah, that Everbright link that you showed. So is that an event that you're going to? You're going to be attending on November 18th?
Well, yeah, that was yesterday.
Okay. I'd have to go back in time in order to attend.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think, you know, I came into this through the Network Weavers group, which is a group on Facebook, Network Weavers.
Okay.
And there was like a whole bunch of other groups involved, and they're all into this mycelium thing of you know, trees communicating and you know, ecosystems basically.
Yeah.
What do they call it? Biological or modeling. What is this? Oh, we got trouble. I didn't watch them. I'm in trouble. I better see what the dogs did.
Okay. I'll see you, Jim. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.